I thought it only fitting that whoops. I feel like it's only fitting that I do the story of how my mom was murdered / died while at the ocean. Because, you know, she drowned in the ocean. Not this ocean. I'm not going to tell you the story from the place of all of the knowledge in the beginning, because we didn't have all of the knowledge in the beginning, if that makes sense. So what had happened was my mother was an alcoholic prostitute who lived in a tent on the ocean. Her and 3 other prostitutes and a pimp lived in a tent, like tent city, I guess you could say, on a place in Marathon called Vaca Cut. Now, when they first called me and told me that my mom drowned, and I said where, they said Vaca Cut, and I thought that they said vodka cut. So for me, it's always going to be vodka cut, but it's actually just like vodka cut, but it's actually just like VACA. It's vodka. But the way that he said it, it sounded like vodka. So they were camping on Vaca Cut, and apparently she was drunk and had gone into the ocean and fell and skinned her knee up on coral really, really bad. Now, here's the thing about that. Coral, it's not like if you fall at the lake and you skin yourself on a river rock. Coral is a living organism. And when she skinned her knee on it, some of that whatever got inside of that cut. And she didn't go to the doctor. And it got really, really bad and was like gangrenous. And they almost had to cut off her leg because it got so infected, because coral is like a living organism. It's not just like you skint your knee on a rock on a mountain in North Carolina, a dead mountain. No, it's actually a dead mountain. No, it's actually like a living thing. So when she skinned her knee on it, those living things entered her body. And about 3 weeks after she fell, she had to go to the emergency room. And it was Fisherman's Hospital. Fisherman's Hospital is the name of the hospital on Marathon Island in Florida, where my mother died. So she went to Fisherman's Hospital and they performed emergency surgery on her leg because it almost had to be amputated. Well, while in recovery, one of those TVs that hangs on the wall fell off of the wall and onto her leg. It broke her leg in 2 places and reopened all of the sutures. It like popped all the stitches, and they had to do like another 24 hours of surgery and shit. And it was like really, really bad. Now, I will tell you, I personally don't, this is all hearsay. I had no relationship with my mother at this time, and I did not have any personal knowledge of what was going on. She did not call me during this time. I did not speak to her. I don't know any of this that happened. So the last time I spoke to my mother was on May 5th, 2003, and then she died June 7th, 2003. So like in this month that this happened, I was not in communication with her. So she goes to Fisherman's Hospital, they fix her, then they break her, then they fix her again. And she gets out of the hospital on like, I think it was like Tuesday. She gets out of the hospital on a Tuesday, and then she is killed that following Saturday. So like literally within a week of getting out of the hospital, she drowns in the ocean. Now, when she drowned in the ocean, it was like, well, she was drunk. It was nighttime. She did have like a giant cast and bandage on her leg. Like, why would she go swimming at night with all of that working against her? And she was drunk. Like, my mom's blood alcohol was no fucking joke. She was very inebriated. So when they first found her body, they were like, oh, well, she clearly just drowned. Drunk at night, broken leg. She shouldn't have been swimming. And they questioned the other women on the island, like, because there was 3 other prostitutes other than just my mom. They questioned them, and the women all said that he took her out there. He took her out swimming. She didn't want to go. He made her go out there swimming, and then took her out there. He took her out swimming. She didn't want to go. He made her go out there swimming, and then he came back and she didn't. That was what the women said. They were like, she didn't want to go out there. He made her go out there, and then he came back and she didn't. And that was all they said. So that was a little sus, but not enough sus. And so then they did the autopsy, and she drowned. There wasn't any bruising. There wasn't any ligature marks. There wasn't any, I mean, there was like contusions and abrasions, but they said that that was all just from like drowning, like her body like knocking up against rocks and shit. So at the time, June 7th, 2003, my dad is, it's 10:45 in the morning, and my dad is sitting in his RV slash, my dad used to live in a Brill bus, a 1953 British bus, a 1953 British transportation bus, Brill bus. He lives in buses, he lives in tents. My dad's very transient. So he's sitting in his Brill bus, listening to NPR. My dad listens to NPR every single day, all day. Thistle and Shamrock, all things considered. Dun, 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 dun. Fucks me up still to this day. So my dad's listening to NPR, and he hears them come over the radio and say, they pulled a woman's body out of Vaca Cut this morning. And he said, I remember thinking, God, I hope that wasn't a lie. Because he knew that my mom was staying at Vaca Cut. He knew that that's where she was staying, but he also knew that there was 3 other women there, so it might have been her, but it might have been one of the other women. But he said that he got a feeling, like he was like, I got a feeling, I just knew, like I just knew. And I said, God, I hope that wasn't a lie. But he's like, but I just knew it was. So then about an hour later, about noon, the medical examiner calls my dad and says, we found your wife's body this morning. We pulled her out of the ocean. She is dead. And my dad said, are you sure it's her? And they said, yes, the police officers have such a familiarity with your wife that they were able to identify her because they had arrested her so many fucking times. The cops knew her so well. They didn't even need a family member to identify her. She was that well known to the officers. So my dad was like, okay, what do we do now? And they're like, well, we need to speak to the next of kin. We need to know what to do with the body. And my dad said, well, I'm not the next of kin. You need to call my daughter. That's me. So then they call me. And I get a call. It's June 3rd, 2007. It's about 1 o'clock. And I get a call from Florida. Now that happens to be my step grandfather's birthday, and my grandmother had just died like a month before that, and so I was dealing with like a lot, like my uncle, I was talking to him a lot, I was talking to my grandfather, my step grandfather a lot, and like we were trying to figure out like what to do with my grandmother's estate and everything and how to handle it. And so it was his birthday, so when I get a call from Florida, I just assume that it's my stepdad or my step grandfather calling, because I don't talk to my dad, I don't talk to my mom. My brother isn't, like, my brother calls me from Tennessee or California. My brother doesn't call me from there. He calls me from a different place. So I answered the phone and I said, hey, happy birthday. And it was my dad. And my dad said, he said, Shauna Ray. And it was my dad. And my dad said, he said, Shauna Ray, this is your father. And it's not my birthday. And I went, Dad? And he went, yes. I said, Dad, why are you calling me? You know you're not supposed to call me. He said, Shauna Ray, I need to tell you something. I said, Dad, whatever it is, I don't want to hear it. And he said, Shauna Ray, your mother's dead. And I said, what? And he said, Shauna Ray, your mother drowned this morning. She's dead. And I said, Dad, I swear to God, if you are fucking lying to me about this, I will never talk to you again. And he said, why do you think I would lie to you about something like this? And I said, because you're a fucked up individual, Dad. And he said, Shauna Ray, I'm not lying to you. The medical examiner will be calling you shortly. But I didn't want you to hear it from them. I wanted you to hear it from me. Your mother drowned this morning. And I said, okay. And I got off the phone and I waited for a few minutes for the medical examiner to call me. Now, this is during the day on like a Tuesday, and my husband is at work. My husband is at the time a financial planner for Bank of America downtown. This was in 2003, okay? So he worked, now you need to know that Charlotte is like a banking hub. There's like a lot of banking that goes on in Charlotte, okay? And 9/11 happens and they start to rethink. The medical examiner will be calling you shortly, but I didn't want you to hear it from them. I wanted you to hear it from me. Your mother drowned this morning. And I said, okay. And I got off the phone and I waited for a few minutes for the medical examiner to call me. Now, this is during the day on like a Tuesday, and my husband is at work. My husband is at the time a financial planner for Bank of America downtown. This was in 2003, okay? So he worked, now you need to know that Charlotte is like a banking hub. There's like a lot of banking that goes on in Charlotte, okay? And 9/11 happens and they start to rethink, hey, maybe. And I waited for a few minutes for the medical examiner to call me. Now, this is during the day on like a Tuesday, and my husband is at work. My husband is at the time a financial planner for Bank of America downtown. This was in 2003, okay? So he worked, now you need to know that Charlotte is like a banking hub. There's like a lot of banking that goes on in Charlotte, okay? And 9/11 happens and they start to rethink, hey, maybe we shouldn't have all of our banking stuff in one location. Like maybe that's a bad idea. If a 9/11 happens again, maybe we should split these people apart. We should spread out. We should spread our banking stuff in one location. Like maybe that's a bad idea. If a 9/11 happens again, maybe we should split these people apart. We should spread out. We should spread out more. So because of 9/11, which happened in 2001, in 2003, Bank of America closed down like 30% of the offices in Charlotte and moved them to other locations. And my husband just happened to be one of those people. And it just happened to happen on that day. So that day, I get a call from the medical examiner. And I did not call my husband when I got off the phone with my dad. People are like, why didn't you call her? Like, why? He's at work. He can't leave. I have the car. We only had one car at that time. I have the car. I'm too upset to drive right now. I can't drive to pick him up. What didn't benefit him for me to tell him at that time? So like, it did not even occur to me to call my husband and be like, yo, my mom died. Like, I literally was so like, and this, when I told this story, this part of the story before, people got really upset. So trigger warning. I was fucking relieved. I was like, thank God this bitch is not going to fuck my life up anymore. She is not going to be a fucking atom bomb that comes into situations and fucking explodes shit. I don't have to deal with her creating chaos. I don't have to deal with her fucking manipulating me. I don't have to deal with her fucking using my sister against me. I was fucking relieved when my mom died. I was like, thank you, Jesus. I was really pissed. But I wasn't, I was pissed. But I was really pissed that it was like, I spent so much of my childhood and so much of my early teens trying to get my mom to be a better mom. I put so much energy into trying to get my mom to be a good mom. And then when she died, it was like all of that was wasted. Like, I should have never even tried. She was never going to be a good mom. She wasn't capable of it. I should have never wasted my time. So I was more pissed off that I had spent, it was like I put all this energy in and I never got the reward. She was never, that chance for her to be a good mom and to love me and to care for me and to put me first and to actually like me, it was gone. So I was pissed. I was pissed about that. But I was fucking happy. I was fucking happy that she died. So I get the call from the medical examiner, and you can judge me all you fucking want. You can judge me all you fucking want. I was fucking happy when my mom died. And I'm still happy that my mom's dead. Because she would have just fucked shit up for the last 20 fucking years. My mom was never good. She never brought anything good to the table. She never helped. She never contributed. She never did anything to help me, ever. Ever. My whole life. All she ever did was fuck shit up and make things worse for me. So, no, I'm not sad that she's dead, and I'm very happy that I don't have to deal with her anymore, and that's the fucking truth of it. And again, you can judge me. Go right on ahead. So, then I get a call about 1:30. I get the call from the medical examiner, and he's very nice, very, very, very matter of fact. You know, we have your mother here. She's deceased. She drowned. Okay, well, what can we do? Well, we're gonna do fucking happy. I was fucking happy that she died. So I get the call from the medical examiner, and you can judge me all you fucking want. You can judge me all you fucking want. I was fucking happy when my mom died. And I'm still happy that my mom's dead. Because she would have just fucked shit up for the last 20 fucking years. My mom was never good. She never brought anything good to the table. She never helped. She never contributed. She never did anything to help me, ever. Ever. My whole life. All she ever did was fuck shit up and make things worse for me. So, no, I'm not sad that she's dead, and I'm very happy that I don't have to deal with her anymore, and that's the fucking truth of it. And again, you can judge me. Go right on ahead. So, then I get a call about 1:30. I get the call from the medical examiner, and he's very nice, very, very, very matter of fact. You know, we have your mother here. She's deceased. She drowned. Okay, well, what can we do? Well, what can we do? Well, we're going to do all the stuff we need to do. And where do you want to cremate her? Do you want to bury her? What do you want to do? And I was like, I don't really know what my mom's wishes were. Let me call my mom's sister, Judy. So I got all the information from the medical examiner. I gave him all the information that I had. And like all the stuff that I knew about my mom and everything, because my dad didn't tell him anything other than call my daughter. So they needed to know that she'd been at Fisherman's Hospital, because they were like, what are these injuries on her leg? What is this about? I was like, well, I know that she was in the hospital, and so he needed to know about the hospital and a couple other things like date of birth and like, that we had lived in Asheville and stuff like that. And so then I called my mom's sister, Judy. Now, I hadn't spoken to my mom's sister, Judy, pretty much ever before that. I knew that she existed. I knew that my mom and her had a contentious relationship. I had no relationship with her whatsoever. And I had no prior knowledge that I had a relationship with these people before. I had no idea that I knew these people. So Judy is at work. She works like military. My mom's family's all military. They like literally lived on military bases. My mom's dad was like military. Like everybody in their family's fucking military. So she's like working on a fucking military base when I call her. She's like a secretary on a military base. And I was like, Judy, I'm really sorry. and I know this is going to upset you, but I have to tell you, and I need your help. I need to talk to you. And so then she calls me back, and I'm like, Judy, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but Mom died. And she gets really sad, and she starts crying, and she's like, oh my God, what happened? I was like, you know, she drowned in the ocean. That's all we know at this point. And I was like, and I don't, they want to know what, should we bury her? What should we do? And I was like, and I don't, they want to know what, should we bury her? What should we do? And she was like, no. She was like, you need to get her cremated and sent here. We'll bury her with all of her family. We'll bury her here. And I was like, okay. So, and Judy, of course, was like, you know, I'll handle it. I'll take care of that part of it. Which I was very thankful to hand that job over to Judy. I was like, take it, run with it. You can have it. So then Judy and the family planned a memorial for my mom. So she died on the 7th, and the memorial was like the 23rd. Now, on that same day, so basically I called Judy, and Judy's like, I'll take it from here. So that was basically all I had really dealt with my mom that day, was dealing with the medical examiner and getting him in touch with Judy. Well, then my husband comes home at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, and he's like, Sharna, I need you to sit down. And I was like, 5 o'clock. And he's like, Sharna, I need you to sit down. And I was like, yeah, I need to talk to you too. Something happened today. And he was like, I have to tell you this first. And I was like, okay, absolutely. What's up? So he sits down, and he has a list of 12 places. It's like Kansas City, Kansas City, Missouri, Phoenix, Arizona, Tempe, Arizona, Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington. There's just 12 places. And he basically said, so they're closing down my office, and our choices are, we can stay in Charlotte and make half the salary that we make now, which, by the way, was only like $17,000 a year for like a family of 3. So we were not doing great at that time anyway. So like half of that would have been like, what the fuck? So like half of that would have been like, what the fuck? So he's like, and so they're going to cut half my salary, or we can move to one of these places and make double my salary. And I was like, oh, we just need to move. Which to me was like no big deal. I was like, oh, we just need to move. But to my husband, who had literally been born and raised and had never left Charlotte, it was like, yeah, we need to move. But to me, it was like, oh, we just gotta move. Okay, so we just need to pick a place there. Okay. So I'm like going through the places, and I'm like, oh, I've been to Sarasota, Bradenton. That's a nice place. Yeah, my grandma lived there. I've been there. Mark that one. And so he puts a little star beside it. And then my dad calls me back and is like, you know, I don't know what to do. And they're saying that your mom didn't drown. They're saying that the ladies are saying that he killed her, that the pimp killed her, that her pimp killed her. And I was like, Dad, I don't, you know. So then I went in the bathroom and I started talking to my dad, and I literally didn't cry, like, at all about my mom. I wasn't sad about my mom, but I was like really angry. And then I was so mad that, like, in that moment, I remember I was like, Dad, you did not talk to the medical examiner, did you? He didn't say, when he called me and told me about my mom, he didn't say, he said, the medical examiner will be calling you. He didn't say, the medical examiner will be calling you because I refuse to deal with it and I'm making you deal with it. He didn't say that. So then when I talked to the medical examiner, and he starts asking me all these questions, he's like, when was Alon born? I would say, when he called me and told me about my mom, he didn't say, he said, the medical examiner will be calling you. He didn't say, the medical examiner will be calling you because I refuse to deal with it and I'm making you deal with it. He didn't say that. So then when I talked to the medical examiner, and he starts asking me all these questions, he's like, when was Alon born? I was like, I don't know. I was like, I know her birthday's December the 5th, but I don't know what year she was born. I was like, my dad knows that. And he was like, oh, well, he told me to talk to you. He told me that you know all this. So then when I talked to my dad later that night, I was like, Dad, why didn't you talk to the medical examiner? Why did you make me do that? And he was like, because I just thought you'd handle it better. You're more articulate than me, and you're better at those situations. I was like, but now, like, I was like, but you made me deal with that, and now you're expecting me to help you right now? I was like, Dad, I can't do that for you. And he was like, well, I'm just really upset. I'm just really upset. I lost your mom too. And that's when I started crying, and I got really hysterical. And I stayed in the bathroom pretty much all night crying. He's like, babe, I know you're really sad about your mom, honey. I'm really sorry, but like, I have to tell them where we want to live in the morning. Babe. So sweet. So in between him telling me that we had to move, I was like, oh, we just gotta move. I was like, that's no big deal. I was like, Sarasota Bradenton's really pretty. You'd like it there. Mark that one. And then he was like, okay. So then he starts like, well, there's Seattle. And I was like, I have to tell you something. And he's like, okay. I was like, my mom died today. And he's like, what? I was like, yeah, she drowned in the ocean, I guess. I'm not 100% on that, but my mom died today. He's like, are you okay? Oh my God, why didn't you say anything? And I was like, well, it's really not that big of a deal. Yeah, I'm fine. It's really not that big of a deal. Yeah, I'm fine. So that was like our whole discussion about my mom. Yeah, my mom died today. What? Yeah, she drowned. She's dead. Yeah, so what do you want for dinner? Like, I swear to God, he was literally like, that's not right. But I was also very detached. I was very, like, detached from the situation with my mom already. I hadn't communicated with her for a month. I'd cut her out of my life. The last conversation that I had with my mother, she called me on May 5th, right after my birthday. My birthday's May 1st. She called me on May 5th, and she said, Shauna, I'm sorry I didn't call you for your birthday. I was in jail. And I was like, Mom, you don't ever call me for my birthday. Why would this year be any different? And you're only calling me now because you want to tell me what you went to jail for, and I don't really give a shit why you went to jail. I don't care that you didn't call me on my birthday. I wasn't expecting you to call me on my birthday. You never call me on my birthday. But you do call me when you go to jail because it's all about you. I wasn't expecting you to call me on my birthday. You never call me on my birthday. But you do call me when you go to jail because it's all about you. And she's like, why are you being like that? I'm just calling to tell you happy birthday. And I was like, yeah, I'm good, Mom. I don't need your happy birthday. And she's like, I don't understand why you're being so hostile towards me. And I was like, Mom, I have a kid of my own now. And I would literally die before I let my child go hungry. And I've been to the store, and I know how much a loaf of bread and peanut butter and jelly costs. So I don't understand why you didn't feed us, Mom. I did the best I could with what I had. No, Mom. No. As a kid, I didn't have a choice but to believe that. But now that I'm an adult and a mother of my own, I know that that's not true. And I don't think I could ever forgive you for not feeding us. Don't think I could ever forgive you for not feeding us. And she just was like, well, I did the best I could, and your father left me, and it was just, she was never going, all I ever wanted her to do was say, you're right, I was a shitty fucking mom, and I should have tried harder, and I'm really sorry, you deserve that. But she never would. Till the day she died, she thought she was a wonderful mother, and that she did nothing wrong. So, that was the last time I spoke with her, was on May 5th. So when she died, I hadn't spoken to her for a month, so it wasn't like I was very sad when she died. I was very like, she died. So now we get to the mystery part of it. So then she's dead, right? So then the next day my husband goes in and says, hey, we want to live, the only place my wife said anything about was Sarasota Bradenton, so put that down as our number one. So then the next day my husband goes in and says, hey, we want to live, the only place my wife said anything about was Sarasota Bradenton, so put that down as our number one spot, and we got that spot. So then 2 weeks later, I go to my mom's funeral, and 3 weeks later, we moved to Sarasota Bradenton. It all happened within a month. All of it happened within a month. So my mom died, my mom's funeral, we moved, we bought a house, we sold a car, we moved across country, like all of that happened within a month. So then he tells them we want to live in Sarasota Bradenton, and then there's like that process going on, and then we have my mom's funeral. Now, my husband cannot come with me. He has to stay home with Haley because Haley has school. So I didn't know these people. I didn't know anything about my mom's family except that my mom was really fucked up. So I was like, I'm not about to take my kid to this place where they know these people. I didn't know anything about my mom's family except that my mom was really fucked up. So I was like, I'm not about to take my kid to this place where these people I've never met and I don't know who they are and I don't know if they're nice. I mean, what if they're all fucking toxic people and they're all drug addicts or they're all drinking? I can't take my kid around that. So my husband stayed home with Haley because I didn't know who these people were. So it was me and my brother. We went by ourselves, my brother and I. My brother flew in from California and then we both went. Serenity, now this is the most fucked up part about this fucking story. And I'll tag my sister in this part because I'm not trying to tell her story, but y'all should fucking know what they did. So when my mom died, I wanted to tell my sister. And I called her social worker. Her social worker's name was Beth Burkholder. And I called that woman every day for like, you need to let me tell my sister about my mom. Please let me tell my sister about what happened to my mom. Please. And she, no, Serenity's in her new family. And you need to let her bond with her new family. And it wouldn't help her to talk to you. So the end result of that was no one told her. And it was 4 years later. She was talking to her foster mom. She was 9. She said, am I ever going to see my mom again? And they said, your mom died. Don't you know? Did nobody tell you your mom died 4 years ago? That's how my sister found out. And I tried so hard. I was like, please let me be the one. Just let me talk to her and let her know what happened. Let her know what happened. But somehow that information just didn't seem relevant. And it was like, her social worker, let me be the one. Just let me talk to her and let her know what happened. Let her know what happened. But somehow that information just didn't seem relevant. And it was like, her social worker was like, well, her therapist has decided that she just moved into a new family and they're going to wait to tell her until after she's acclimated to the new family. They're going to wait until she's doing better in therapy. They're going to wait until she's, and then I guess that doing better stage just never happened. And am I ever going to see my mom again? Your mom died. That's how she found out. So my sister was in foster care. She'd been put up for adoption. So she was not even allowed to know about my mom's death, let alone allowed to attend the funeral. But my brother and I did. And we went out there and we met these people, and I'd never met them before. And the first time I met Judy, she hugged me and she said, oh my God, you look just like your mom. And I said, no, you look just like my mom. Because she did look, she looked like my mom. Like I looked like my mom the last time Judy saw her, but Judy looked like my mom the last time I saw her. So I was like, no, you look like my mom. And then I met Violet May, and Violet May hugged me, and she grabbed my face, and she said, oh, my sweet little Pewdie Pie. No, Pootie Pie. My sweet little Pootie Pie. And I went, what? And she's like, that was my nickname for you when you were a baby. You were our little Pootie Pie. And I was like, what? What do you mean? You never knew me as a baby. What are you talking about? And she was like, honey, did your mama not tell you that you've lived with us for almost 3 years? Not tell you that you've lived with us for almost 3 years? And I went, no. When? No way. Honey, you lived with us from the time you was 6 months until you was almost 3 years old. No way. Absolutely not. Well, honey, here you are at 6 months getting christened. And here you are at a year old walking for the first time. And there you are at Halloween. Look, we dressed you up like a little ghost. You were so cute. And they were pictures of me. And I recognized that they were pictures of me. And I was like, that's me. Yes, Dion, that's you. You live with us, me and my husband. We raised you for almost 3 years. I'm sorry, what? I lived with you? Who are you? I'm your mom's aunt, Violet May, and I raised you for almost 3 years. And I had never, like, I could not process. I was literally, and I looked over at my brother and I was like, did you raise him too? And she's like, no, darling, I never met your brother. I know you. I raised you when you was a baby, but then when your brother was born, your mama thought you should meet him, so she came and got you guys. She had you. I saw you when you was a baby. I saw you in the backseat of the car when you was a baby. She came to pick you up, take you out for ice cream, so you could get to know your brother. But then you never came back. And I was like, so my mom kidnapped me from you? Well, it wasn't technically kidnapping because you was her child. We did get a lawyer and we did try to... It wasn't technically kidnapping because you was her child. We did get a lawyer and we did try to fight, but you were her child, so you can't really kidnap your own child. But it felt like that, yes. And I was like, how do I not know this? Why do I not know this? And I'm like looking over at my brother and I'm just like, did you know this? And George is just as fucking shook as I am. George is just like, I didn't know. No, I had no idea, Shauna. Mom never told me. My mom never told me. My mom never told me. I never knew anything about you other than that you guys didn't like my mama. That's all she ever said was, anytime I did, Mom, why don't we ever talk to your sister? Mom, why don't we ever go see your family? Mom, don't you have family real close, like on the coast? Why don't we ever go to the beach and see your family? Oh, they don't like me none. Like on the coast, why don't we ever go to the beach and see your family? Oh, they don't like me none. 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 That's all she ever said. I never knew anything about you. And then she sat me down and told me the story of how they raised me and how when I was little, I almost died and they took me to the doctor and the doctor said she's being neglected and they took me away and they kept me. That's story time over there somewhere. Scroll down and you'll find it. And I just couldn't believe it. I was just like, I mean, I'm looking at these pictures and it's clearly me. And it was so hard for me too because they were like, well, we kept all your stuff. They were like, we got your christening, and I still have my christening gown. They were like, we got your christening gown. We got this little doll that you used to play with, and then there's this and there's this. And they didn't have anything for George because they didn't get it like they did. But I felt so bad that they had all this stuff for me, but they didn't have anything for my brother. And she did too. So she like went to her cabinets and found some like old cups. She's like, you know what, George? Why don't you take these old cups? These have been in our family for a really long time. You should take them with you. And my brother loves old stuff just like I do. So he was just as happy with that. But it was hard. It was really hard to like find out this like big puzzle piece in your life that you never knew, and to find it out at your mom's funeral. Then we go to the funeral and it's in someone's backyard, okay? It's in Shelter Neck, North Carolina, and it's in someone's backyard. Their graveyard it's like a family cemetery, and it's in, like, you gotta go through their, like, yard to get to it. And the people that bought the house know that. It's like when you buy that, it's had 3 or 4 owners over the time. The family cemetery goes back way, like all the way back to like the 1800s, late 1700s, all the way back to like the 1800s, late 1700s, early 1800s. So there's like a lot of people buried there, and like the people that buy the house know. It's like when you buy this house, you have to know that if any of the Bartholomew Perry people pass and they want to be buried there, that you have to like host them. That's like part of it. So they like hosted us. They had like food out there for it. It was like crazy. I was like, is this like a common thing here? That you like burying people in the back fucking yard? Like, do you not have a church? Is it not near a church? What is this? Don't you bury people next to a church? That's a graveyard, not a cemetery. Cemeteries can be anywhere. But why wouldn't you want to put it next to a church? You guys are okay with just a bunch of dead people in your backyard? Like, what the fuck? I was just like, what the fuck? And then we get to the funeral, and I had decided that morning on the way I looked at George and I was like, George, I am not going to speak at Mom's funeral. And I had decided that morning on the way, I looked at George and I was like, George, I am not going to speak at Mom's funeral. Really? You don't talk at all? Nope, not gonna talk. I'm not gonna talk. I ain't got nothing nice to say. I ain't gonna say nothing at all. And I'm afraid if I get up there, what I'll say. So, yeah, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. So my brother actually ended up speaking at the funeral. It's the first time in my life I didn't talk. The night before, we had been at the visitation, and people are coming by, and they're like, oh, we're so sorry for your loss. We're so sorry for your loss. We loved Elaine. Oh my God, we just loved Elaine. Elaine was just the sweetest. I'm like, Judy, who is Elaine? Elaine is your mother. No, Judy, my mom's name was Alon. No, his name was Elaine. No, Judy, my mom's name was Alon. No, sweetie, your name was Elaine. So, like, on the way to the funeral, George and I are, like, talking, and I'm like, we don't even know this bitch. The bitch that they're burying, we don't even know her. They don't know the bitch that they're burying, and they don't know the bitch that they're burying, and we don't know the bitch that they're burying. They don't know the bitch that they're burying, and we don't know the bitch that they're burying. Let that sink in, because that's what it was. It was like, they have no idea who this woman is. They've not talked to her in 20 fucking years. They have no fucking clue who this woman became. They still have this 20-year-old image of her before the drugs and the alcohol and the prostitution and all of the fucking bullshit that came after that. All and the prostitution and all of the fucking bullshit that came after that. They don't know the person that they're burying. And we're sitting here going, I didn't even know her real name was Elaine. I have no idea who my mother really is. I don't know who they're burying either. So I was like, I ain't gonna say nothing. I ain't gonna say nothing. I ain't gonna say nothing. So I didn't say anything at the funeral. I let my brother talk. First time ever I didn't have anything to say. And then after the funeral, we go to this fish camp, which was my mom's favorite restaurant. We're at the fish camp, and Violet May starts saying, so there's 3 aunts. There's Violet May, there's Fran, and there's Hazel, okay? There's 3 aunts. And Violet May runs shit, because Violet May was like an accountant. So she like did everybody's taxes and like loaned everybody money and was like the one that ran shit. She had all the money, so she had all the control and the power in the family. And then there was Fran. Fran was okay, but meek, so she had all the control and the power in the family. And then there was Fran. Fran was okay, but meek. And then there was Hazel, and Hazel was weak, like old, feeble, in a wheelchair by the time we met her. And this is a cemetery in a backyard, like in someone's backyard. So Hazel couldn't get up and speak because Hazel was literally feeble in a wheelchair and couldn't like physically get up to speak about my mom. So we're at the table, and Violet May looks at Hazel and says, well, you obviously didn't love Elaine because you didn't say anything about her at her funeral. Just like that. And I said, excuse me, who are you to say that she does or does not love my mother based on whether or not she spoke at my mother's funeral? Because I did not speak at my own mother's funeral, and trust me, I love my mother. I just chose not to speak at her funeral, because sometimes when you don't have anything nice to say, it's better to just not say anything at all. Like right now. So maybe you should just like not say anything. Because who are you to say who did and didn't love my mom? Everyone at the table was like, because no one talked back to Violet May. Violet May was just a toxic person that talked down to everybody, and no one stood up to her. But yeah, no, I'm not okay with that. So I was like, who do you think you are to tell people how to grieve? Violet May got so upset she stormed out of the restaurant. And I followed her in the parking lot, and she started screaming at me, and she was like, you don't speak to me that way. And I was like, Well, then you don't speak to them. Well, then you don't speak to them that way. I was like, y'all just let her talk to you. And like, slowly, now I'm in the parking lot standing up to her. I'm like, you don't speak to me that way. I was like, you don't know me. You don't get to speak to me that way because you don't know me. And she was like, well, I knew your mother, blah, 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 blah. And slowly, all of the family members are trickling out into the parking lot of the fish camp to watch this argument. And I look around and I'm like, y'all just let her talk to you like that? I was like, y'all just let her talk to you like that? Because that's bullshit. I wouldn't let her talk to me like that. No, nobody talks to me like that. Y'all deserve to be spoken to better too. I was like, she has absolutely no right to speak down to you like that. That's not okay. So then Violet May gets mad and drives off. And that's why Violet May chose not to have a relationship with me, because I called her on her shit and I didn't let her be a toxic bitch to everybody. Chose not to have a relationship with me because I called her on her shit and I didn't let her be a toxic bitch to everybody. That's the fucking truth. Now, here's the part I didn't know. Violet May gets in her car and drives off. Somebody comes up to me and says, you are definitely Elaine's daughter. And I was like, yes, I am Elaine's daughter. That's me, Shauna. And she's like, no, baby, you don't understand. Do you know why your mom and Violet May didn't speak before she died? And I was like, no, I don't know. My mom didn't. I was like, I didn't even know about Violet May at all. She raised me. She's like, I know. The reason why was because 20 years ago, your mom and Violet May were at this very restaurant, and Violet May told your mom that she was a stupid whore in front of the entire family. And your mom basically stood up to her and said, you don't speak to me that way. And I was like, oh, I did not. This restaurant? Seriously, this exact restaurant? She said, you don't speak to me that way? Huh. Yeah, I guess I am her daughter. Wish I'd known that. I wouldn't have handled it that way. And she goes, no, you handled it the exact right way. So, that's the story. Then about a year later, I get a call from Fisherman's Hospital. There's a check from my mom for $5,000 that needs to be dealt with. I'm like, a check for $5,000? What? Yeah, a TV fell on her leg and we're going to pay her $5,000 so she doesn't sue us. Oh, okay. And we're going to forgive all of her medical bills that we caused because we dropped the TV on her knee. We're going to forgive all of those medical costs. Okay. Medical costs. Okay. You just need to sign all this paperwork and we'll send you the check. Okay. So I did all that. Paid my own money to FedEx the paperwork back to them. And then bitch was like, oh, well, you gave away liability, so we don't ever have to send you the check now. So you won't get the check. Sorry. You just basically made it impossible for anyone to sue us for what we did. And they're a fucked up corporation for that. And she preyed on my dead mom. Yeah, she preyed on my dead mom. That's some fucked up shit, Fisherman's Hospital, but that shit really happened. But then, once we found out about the check, we called the police detective and we were like, hey, so my mom was killed on Saturday night. Well, she was supposed to pick up that $5,000 check Friday, but she got arrested for prostitution on Thursday, and by the time she got bonded out on Friday, they'd closed the office. So her pimp drowned her because he thought that she had $5,000 cash. So her pimp drowned her because he thought that she had $5,000 cash on her. But he didn't know that she didn't pick up the check because she'd gotten arrested the night before. That's what happened. And when we called and told the detective, hey, we finally figured out why he killed her, because the question was always like, well, why would he kill her? She's making money for him. The other prostitutes say that he did it, but they have motive against him too. So why would she kill her? Why would he kill her? That we had to have a motive. And then when we did, I called him up and I was like, hey, I found out the motive. She was supposed to get a $5,000 check from Fisherman's Hospital the day before she was killed, but she wasn't able to because she got arrested the night before. He said, honey, with all due respect, your mom was an alcoholic prostitute. This case is closed. She drowned. And I was like, no, she was probably murdered. She was probably really murdered. You're just not gonna do anything? No, honey, we're not gonna do anything. This case is closed. She drowned. And I was like, no, she was probably murdered. She was probably really murdered. You're just not going to do anything? No, honey, we're not going to do anything. Okay, well, I just want you to make sure that we're real clear that you're letting this guy get away with murdering my mother. Because she was an alcoholic prostitute, you're not going to investigate this anymore, even though I can literally prove I've solved the case for you. You're not willing. No, we've closed the case. We're not going to reopen it. It was an accidental drowning. We're going to leave it at that. Okay. So that's the story. And I hope I didn't leave out any details, and I hope that it's not as confusing this time, because I know it was a little confusing last time. So I tried to do better to like explain it all, but I also don't want it to be like 152 parts either. But that's the story of how my mom died.